Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chase and this is All Things Rim. Today we are looking, well, you already know, you saw the thumbnail, that's why you clicked on this video. Today we are looking at the cheapest Swiss automatic watch I could find on the internet, and it'll surprise you. Okay guys, now a lot of people are like, hey Chase, you keep telling me that you are going to be releasing video after video after video. You have so much stuff to do. Why aren't you being consistent? Well, like anything else, life just happens, and my life has been going in all the wrong directions lately. And I will tell you, I've told you guys for weeks that I will be doing another channel. It's called All Things Mind, Body, and Soul. That is a deep dive into some very uncomfortable topics and things that I have struggled with and I'm struggling through, and it's, you know, it's a self-improvement channel, right? If you guys are interested in that, I will start leaving a link to All Things Mind, Body, and Soul down below if you guys are interested in a deep dive of struggling issues from me. Also, this watch at the very end, if you guys are interested, this will be linked in a link down below. It says my watches that I review, and it's an eBay link. This will be going directly up on eBay. I only wanted to find the cheapest automatic watch that is Swiss. Honestly, just before we even get into it, this is surprisingly good for as much as it is. It was, we'll say, around $300. You can find it on Joma Shop and everything else. And honestly, it was surprisingly good. I am selling this for cheaper than what I bought it, simply because I want to fund more watches for this channel. If you guys want this watch, link down below. Let's just flip this camera and dive right in to the unboxing and review. Okay, and here is the cheapest Swiss watch I could find that was an automatic. Now, Tissot is known for its watches, but in the price range of what I found this for, which was like just under $300, they do offer some Swiss quartz watches that I have found at authorized dealers for $450, $550, even upwards of my Tissot Sea Star, my large chronograph diving watch, that was $1,500. So in no way do they sort of have some cheap product. I don't want you to think that they're low end, but for $300, under $300, I'm sorry, let's see what we get for this Swiss automatic. Now, I have opened this up, but I think everything is still covered in its original little packaging. So inside, okay, so this is the one thing that I think is really awesome about it. Look, watch this. Hold on. There's like a diorama that pops up with the case, like the Tissot factory in Switzerland. Okay, that is a little coolness factor, okay? I don't care who you are, that's a little cool. And let's talk about the watch specifically that I have in my hand. Now, there's a lot of things that are gonna be like things that I don't like about this watch right off the bat that some people aren't gonna mind. And the first thing is gonna be the bracelet. I really do not like these sort of clasps because it's very hard to get a good fitting on it. However, these are smaller links. These aren't larger links like on sports bracelets, so maybe you can find a better fit. Let's go ahead and take all the packaging off, all the wrapping off, and then do a proper review. Okay, and here is the watch in my hand, the Tissot T1. This specifically is 38 millimeters in diameter, and it sits at about 10 millimeters thick. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and at the end of the video, or closer to the end of the video, I'm gonna get my calipers out and we'll do some proper measurements. Let's talk about first what's inside of this watch and the things that it has to offer. Now, like I said, at 38 millimeters in diameter, that is a sweet spot for a lot of people. Honestly, a lot of people stay between 38 and 41, so this is on the smaller end of that. However, if you have a wrist like mine, which is 7¼ inch wrist, or anything below 7.5, we'll say 7.5 down to 6.5, this is gonna be a perfectly fitting watch. I think it's actually gonna be amazing. Now, this is a sort of gray dial. It's a silver dial, and it does have texturing on it. So inside of this watch, now inside of this watch is the ETA 2834-2. It is a 25 joule Swiss automatic movement, and you know what? ETA is known for their quality of movements. A lot of people use ETA movements. That's not a bad thing. It's a way to cut costs. It is not an in-house movement. However, there are a lot of brands that use ETA. Specifically, this one has 28,800 vibrations per hour. So the second hand ticks far smoother than something that is a lower vibrations per hour, like 21,600. It does offer a day of the week. See, it says Monday right here underneath the 12, and it does offer another date down at the bottom just above the 6, and then it's the day of the month. The dial is super clean. It only says automatic just above that date, just above the 6. Tissot 1853. The indices are applied, they're non-lumed, and honestly, they're done very well. The things on this watch are extremely subtle, right? Nothing screams out, hey, here's some contrasting colors, right? Other than like the Tissot and the automatic, everything else is the same or similar color to the back dial. Now it does have sort of like a step in the middle, right? The inner sort of has this step forward, so it gives you just slightly more depth. There is a chapter ring on the outside for the minutes, but honestly, it's just extremely, to me, it's extremely classy. Now, it does not have a screw down crown, and it only has 50 meters of water resistance, which is fine. You pull the crown out once, and this should go into the day of the week, day of the month selection. Rotate it clockwise. And you can see down at the bottom, the month is starting to rotate. Turn it the opposite way, and you can see at the top, the day of the week is also rotating. Now, if you want to know how this works, we'll go ahead and pull this out to its outer position into the time. You can see that it does have hacking, also has hand winding. So let's go ahead and just rotate this all the way around to the midnight. So this is not knurled at all, so it's very hard for me to grip with gloves on. So it's not that bad without gloves, but I have ugly hands, so we're just gonna deal with that. So all the way around to the midnight. Okay, now I know you guys just saw that. It has a quick change feature, which means that at the last moment, everything changes, boom, at once. That's amazing for this price point. I don't care who you are. I have looked at micro brand after micro brand after micro brand that has the NH35, the Seiko NH35, and man, it takes an hour and a half for one date to slowly rotate over before it pops over. And you just saw a watch that I bought under $300 have a quick date function both with the day of the week and the day of the month down at the bottom. Honestly, really hard to sort of argue with the quality of things that you're getting here from Tissot. Gonna push that back in, second hand starts ticking again. Now this is a very high polished finished case. 316L stainless steel, well of course it is, that's what you'd expect. It is the industry standard, a T right there on the top of the crown. Now this bracelet is very interesting to me because it sort of mimics a Jubilee bracelet, but not really. It is a 7-link bracelet, and it's kind of interesting because you have both polished and brushed, polished, 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 brushed, polished. So it's very interesting that you have sort of a combination of both polished and brushed because it gives you sort of just more depth, right? It's not overly done, but again, I'm just not a big fan of these style of bracelets. It does have a proper butterfly milled clasp, which again, at this price point, you rarely ever see. It has solid end links, and there is that ETA 2834-2 in the back with a Tissot rotor. Let's go ahead and pull out the calipers. We'll get some actual measurements of this watch, and then you guys can make an opinion on your own. Now the links on this are all solid. The end links are solid. It does have a butterfly clasp, but look at how many different options you have to adjust the size around your wrist. You have both half lengths and full lengths, so you should be able to get a pretty solid fit. I'm gonna get a pretty solid fit. These are just push pins, not really a complaint at this price point, like I said. So once again, we'll get some true measurements here. Got the calipers. So the first measurement is going to be the diameter, and we are at just over 38, so 38.6. The thickness of this watch is just over 10. Now, one thing I didn't mention, this is a dead flat sapphire crystal. Does not have any error coating, but it is a sapphire crystal on the Swiss watch. The lug to lug is going to be, now this I'm going to measure both from the case as well as these static end links that you see here that protrude out a little further. This just gives you the idea of if you change the bracelet out to something else, the footprint it's going to have on your wrist. Now the lug to lug is 45. We'll call that 46 because it's more than 45.5. Now that is a very small lug to lug. That's going to have a very small footprint on your wrist. So if you do change this bracelet to something else, something that maybe has a center link that is, you know, not static like these are, honestly, you're going to get, you know, a smaller wearing watch. But if you want to keep the bracelet as is, let's go end link to end link, about 52.3. And the strap on this, or the bracelet, is going to be at 19. Now that is going to be a very, I'm just gonna verify on the inside here. Yeah, 19. Okay, so that is sort of a negative thing about this, right? When it comes to straps, most straps on watches this size are going to be 20 millimeters or 18 millimeters. It sucks that it's a 19. Now you can get a 19 millimeter strap, like a leather strap for this. Honestly, the way I look at this watch is like an alternative to the Rolex Day-Date. Now the Rolex Day-Date, or even like the Date-Just, I think is like the perfect everyday watch. And I say that because yes, this is a dressier watch. Look at all of that high polished finishing, which is indicative a lot towards a lot of dress watches. A lot of smooth curves on the watch, some angles at the top, but overall with that high polished finish, like it gives you like more of a dressy look, which is fine. This will go great on a suit. Like honestly, this will be great with a suit. It would look amazing. Now what you can do is find an aftermarket distressed leather, maybe leather strap to go with it, and now all of a sudden it's going to dress it down. Now I've done several videos in the past where I show a harness Date-Just, right, because I don't have a Rolex Date-Just, and how it can be dressed up or dressed down, both with a Jubilee bracelet or a distressed leather strap. Like I just said, this is not a Jubilee bracelet, but this is very similar to one, right? It's a 7-link, high polished and brushed linked bracelet. So it does have like a very, you know, flashy sort of look. If you take that away and put something that is less flashy on it, it's going to completely change the overall feel. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What do you think of this watch? Do you think it's worth the $300 to get it? What if I told you it was $250? What if I told you I picked it up for $261 on Amazon? Now I'm about to size it for my wrist and we'll do a wrist check on my 7 1/4. But what do you guys think honestly about this watch? Do you think that it is worth the $300 honestly for a Swiss automatic dress watch that has a day-date function on it, that has an open case back? I get the ETA 2834-2 movement is not the prettiest movement in the world. It's not really decorated at all, but it is a Swiss workhorse, right? This has a dress style bracelet. What do you guys think? Let's go ahead and size this for my wrist. Okay, now I'm just going to adjust it with this cheap little push pin adjuster so you guys can see just how easy it is to change the lengths on any type of bracelet. Please do not ever be afraid to do it yourself. I think it's kind of funny how people sort of get a little eerie about actually doing their own work. I think it's kind of funny. Okay, so, all right, didn't mean to hit the camera. So I'm going to take out 1, 2, 3, 4 links, and then we'll see from there. Okay, and here is the watch on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. Honestly, it is slightly tight right now, which is one of the negative things about these watches. However, I could add one of these half links back on and it'd be just fine. Honestly, I just don't want to mess with it that much. Not hard to change these, but you know, with all these links, you basically want to get it right the first time. I just don't want to tinker around with it for too much, but this is it on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. You can see that the footprint actually fits amazing on my wrist. Not overly big, not overly small. And you can see that it does look a little flashy for the bracelet right here. Honestly, I am extremely surprised, even after dealing with the push pins and everything else, just how good this watch is. It is extremely difficult to find something that is this good for this price point. I want you guys to tell me what you would consider down in the comments below a better watch for 300 bucks. That is Swiss. Down below. Can't be a field watch. I want it to be a dress watch. I don't want people to be like, well, Hamilton makes the khaki field. Hamilton. Yeah, Hamilton's great. I own a Hamilton Big Khaki Pilot, however, or a khaki Big Pilot. However, I want you guys to tell me down below what you guys consider is a better value for buck. And I don't mean, hey, well, Rolex retains its value, so technically, you know, per dollar when it comes to what you get, it's better in value. No, I want for 300 bucks, under 300 bucks, I want you guys to tell me what you get that is better than this. That is Swiss. And it's an automatic. All in all, what do you guys think about my critique? Is it like a cheaper Rolex Datejust? Does it have the same functionalities of something like the day date? You guys tell me if you guys can find, like I said in the video, a cheaper Swiss automatic watch that is not a Hamilton field watch. Please leave it down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to think. Now, if you like videos like this, hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment of the content you guys would like to see on this channel. If you guys have been around for any period of time, you know that I do mostly watches, but other reviews. I also love dive stuff. The next video I will be releasing is on just an overview of a wetsuit that was sent to me. Sorry to say, it is a warm water wetsuit and it's just far too cold in Alaska for me to test it out. So it will only be an unboxing and overview of it. Next year, you guys have heard me talk about me getting my Raiden jet board. It is 1,000% happening. I am 1,000% getting that board. I'm ordering it in February. 2 months after that, it'll be here. Then I will be out on the lakes of Alaska, jet boarding it up. I will take that wetsuit that I will do an overview on, and that will be my go-to wetsuit while on that board. So if you guys are interested in any of the content that I'm talking about, make sure you guys are also hitting that notification bell so you'll be notified when I drop that next video. Until next time.